Coruscant is one of the most iconic planets of Star Wars. It's an entire planet covered in city that's kilometers deep, and it's been that way for thousands of years. So it's got a lot of history, and it has a massive amount of infrastructure, and just millions and millions of people live here and go about their daily lives.
When we think about Coruscant, we think about it as metropolis, like the ultimate city. Any big city, one of the things that's most exciting about it is the massive amount of variety, both in terms of the people who live there, in terms of the environments, the neighborhoods, in terms of all the different things you can see and do in a city. So it was really important to us in developing Coruscant, like this isn't just a city, it's a city world. And that's why we had to create just a massiveness and a depth and a vastness that you would almost get there and be astounded and feel small the first time you walked into Coruscant.
In designing Star Wars worlds, you always start with something true to life, and you change it just a bit. Now, the difference between Coruscant is like, you're not changing it just a bit, you're changing it a lot. You're going the distance both directions. Whereas you might have, 50 stories on a building. What would that building look like if it was 1,000 stories? What would the Senate look like 3,000 years prior to the prequels? So there is a little bit of pulling elements from the movies, a little bit of pulling elements from the artistic ideas that some of the other artists have had. But then taking those elements and marrying them into stuff that exists in real life and stuff that has been already established in the KOTOR franchise.
Some of the first major differences with Coruscant over any other planet, the obvious ones are there's absolutely no terrain on this planet. Zero. That in itself brings up a lot of interesting dilemmas. We have to think of how to build a planet with no terrain. Building a planet from the ground up is a major issue. The main building block is terrain. How do we build it without that? What we did is basically go through iteration after iteration after iteration just to build the space.
The scale of Coruscant is massive. A lot of games have cities and a lot of games have huge areas, but no game has done this combination of the two, a huge city area, like to the degree that we have.
In designing Coruscant, there was a little bit of story involvement in that the Sith have recently returned from deep space and have sacked Coruscant. And there are pockets of the city that are still in distress, that are still broken and in shambles, which really lends itself to the story of our game and how much turmoil the galaxy is actually in.
The stories that take place on Coruscant really introduce the players to the greater galaxy. They introduce the player to the role of the Jedi in the greater galaxy, the role of the Republic in the greater galaxy, the state of the Republic in the greater galaxy. And you're going to get caught up in stories that deal with Republic politics and, backstabbing and maneuvering within the Senate Tower.
You might be at the top of the planet where it's seeing skyline, it's very pretty, you see sunset. As you travel further below the city, you might go down to the first level down and it's a little bit dirtier. There's going to be a little bit more everyday travel. The next step might be to where you're ending up in a mob-ruled area where potentially this planet at one point was bombed. We all know that. Further down, there's going to be complete gang warfare.
What we wanted to do was add a little bit of the Coruscant that you hadn't seen yet. What powers these huge buildings, these buildings that stretch, kilometers into the sky? Where's the electrical system? Where's the plumbing? Where's the sewages? The sewage systems. Those kinds of things you've never seen. What lies down in the basements? What does a parking garage look like in the Star Wars universe, especially one for a building this, the size of the entire island of Manhattan? So it was taking those ideas, taking those worldly sort of ideas of New York and turning them on their ear, really going the distance, dropping it way down, building it up way high, and making certain that we're giving the player a chance to see things that they've never seen in Coruscant before.
Coruscant is the symbol of all the hope for democracy and civilization in the galaxy. And even though it's got its flaws and it's not perfect in a lot of ways, it's also got its beauty and its integrity in some ways. And there's people there who are trying to live a good life and do the right thing and want to see the galaxy be a safe and peaceful and happy place. So we really took a lot of care to make sure that players get to experience some of that, of course, and get to experience what it is that makes the Republic special, makes it worth fighting for, makes it worth dying for.
One of the great things about Coruscant is that there's something for everybody. The socializers can hang out in the spaceport in the Galactic Senate and meet people as they come and go. The explorers have all the different variety of areas. They can go down into the depths of the works, or they go into the criminal-laden Black Sun district. But my favorite area of Coruscant is probably the Senate district, just because it's so impressive and it has that sense of potential. You know, because you're up there and you can see for miles and miles, and you just know that there's going to be so much out there to explore and find.